never raised in the sun.
To live and die in LA, where every day we try to fatten our pockets. Us against hustle for the cash, so it's hard to knock it. Everybody got their own thing, currency chasing. Worldwide through the hard times, worrying faces. Shed tears as we bury, sitting close to heart. What was a friend, now a ghost in the dark. Cold part about it, getting got smoked by a fiend. Trying to floss on him, blind to a broken man's dream. A hard lesson, court cases keep him guessing. Plea bargain ain't an option now, so I'm stressing. Cost me more to be free than a life in the pen. Making money off of cuss words, writing again. Learn how to think ahead, so I fight with my pen. Late night down, sunset, like in the zen. What's the worst they can do to a nigga? Got me lost in hell to live and die in LA. On bail, my angel sing.
KBLA Talk 1580 got us going down the pathway talking about Tupac. That's always Miles's goal, I think. Rest in peace, Pac. Miss you so much. We're being joined in studio right now by a creative producer. She's a DP, director of photography. She's got all kinds of skills: creative producing, digital marketing, production management, art direction, film and TV production. She also happens to be the executive director over at Tec Leimert, and they are joining us for some Techie Thursdays about once a month. Paris McCoy, good to see you.
Good morning, good morning. So glad to be here with the KBLA family and be here with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you in. And we said we were going to focus on mental health, and it for some folks that don't really track this, it might seem like kind of a weird combo, mental health and tech, but actually there's so much overlap right here in technology being used to help people with their mental health, technology being detrimental to people's mental health, and also the tech world coming into the mental health treatment space. So there's lots of different levels to this. We're currently litigating whether or not social media is actually officially detrimental. There's so many overlaps. But this is something that you brought to the table. Let's talk about tech and mental health. So what was it that drove you into the conversation?
The mental health conversation, what drove me into this conversation is that, traditionally, you know how Black folks are, we don't really talk about these things. It's not something that we talk about at our family table, but that has changed.
Your generation started that change, I think. You're a millennial, right?
I am a millennial. I'm what they call an elder millennial, but I am a millennial, and we are bringing this conversation to the forefront. Absolutely, without a question. We want to talk about all the things, and so technology has helped us bring that to the table and have more conversations around mental health. Now, it is twofold, like you were saying. There is some downsides to it, but there's some positive sides to it, and we're still, weighing we're weighing it and we're balancing it out. But,
I think that's with anything in tech, right? It's
correct.
How do we use it? How do we regulate it? What is it doing? Who's profiting by it? So it's not, to me, it's not so much about downside or upside. It's like knowing what's happening so that we can take advantage of the good and regulate the stuff that needs to be regulated, or get our legal scholars and laws up to speed with where the tech is, which I have, in most cases, doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. And the mental health crisis in the Black community is, we're in a crisis. It's a real crisis. It's at our doorstep. The suicide rates among Black youth is rapidly increasing.
Right, which is scary because we've always been. That's one thing we haven't done. Traditionally, we haven't taken our own lives. That is changing, particularly with young, as young as 8. Through like high school years.
There's that. In the recent years, the stress of job loss. When we talk about those thousands of Black women who lost their jobs recently, there's a mental health component that goes to that goes with that. Also, just how we're looking at what we're seeing in our social media, what we're seeing on the screen in the media, as far as like black bodies being harmed, killed, damaged, like that's a whole digital mental health issue. And there's research and there's books that have come out about what we witness while being black.
Right, which some people call it trauma porn, whatever you want to call it. I do not look at those videos more than once. I'll look at it once because it's my job. Believe it or not, I've seen the George Floyd video once because I am not going to do that to my brain.
Exactly.
I saw it once. I witnessed it. I know what happened. I don't need to watch it over and over again.
We don't need to watch it over and over again. But the fact that in media, those type of videos are being played over and over again. And it's just something that when these things happen, it's just immediately straight to the platforms, straight to social media, straight to media, to news. And that has an effect on us as black people, as the black community. And so like our mental health crisis, like, these are all things that's just bringing our mental health challenge and crisis like to the forefront.
Right. And during the height of COVID, during the lockdown period, at least here in LA, I don't know if this was a nationwide thing, many employers and even the county were offering the app called Calm.
Yep.
To help, well, explain what that app is for people who don't know.
So Calm is a mental wellness app. And through Calm, you're able to go through different exercises for meditation, breathing, etc. So it's one of the I call it one of the OG apps and one of the larger apps that we all know about. Like Calm has really taken the mental wellness app scene by storm. So Calm has done partnerships with businesses. Like if you think about they're like the Uber or like the Waymo of mental health apps. They're huge. They're
right.
huge.
In other words, there's tons of other ones, but that's the one people know.
Correct.
But they have stuff like affirmations and guided meditations. And so what are some of the others?
There's some other ones that are like, BetterHelp is really good as far as like trying to find mental health like therapists and practitioners in
I
your
actually
area.
had a bad experience with them. But
did you have a bad one?
I did,
BetterHelp?
but I know I've heard others that have had a decent experience with it.
And that's another like larger. There's an app that is created by a black woman called Exhale, and it's like Calm, but it's for black women. And I mean, immediately when you download the app and you open it, like they take you through a breathing exercise. So that's one that I particularly like.
What's the name of it?
Exhale.
Exhale. Okay. Fitting.
And it's definitely designed for black women, breathing meditation, but I think that anyone could use it, right? But the point for Exhale is that it has black mental health in mind. And I think that that's a specific focus, but to that point, there's not a lot. There used to be much more black focused mental health apps, black owned, but there's not that many right now. So there's a space.
What happens to them? They just don't make it?
To maintain an app and keep an app going, it's not inexpensive. And so when you use an app, we all know you use an app, it's free, you start off, and then there's elements where you have to like start to pay for certain features in the app, and sometimes people just don't invest, and so the apps can potentially die that way.
So you were saying there's a space, meaning perhaps an opportunity for someone to come up with a Black or BIPOC or particularly focused mental health app.
I think that the space is wide open again. I think that we can create some things. This is a space where we can innovate, especially because, right now with these apps, all of the apps collect data. And so when I think about apps and data sovereignty is like the ability for us to have this data, own it as a community, and utilize it and analyze it for our own benefit. Calm, BetterHelp, all of the apps collect data.
But here's the thing. I mean, has the train left the station in in that regard, because our data is being harvested on Facebook and Meta, Instagram and LinkedIn and everywhere. I mean, so is it too late? Don't they already have all the stuff? Like
they have all the stuff when I'm talking about like all the other apps. Like all the other apps have it, but when you think about like a mental wellness, mental health app that is Black built, designed, owned, and they're going to still collect the data, but what if the data was used for us to like with our mental health in mind, not like everyone's mental health, but like the Black community. If that data was used for that purpose, I would feel a lot more inclined to download that app than like a Calm or something else.
How much pause do you take with any app, like in terms of, because they collect data? Like I think about the ones that track your menstruation. I'm even like, I know, old school, yeah.
Write it down.
Do you? Yeah. Like, are you? Do I want to give these people my information? Do I even want them to know how many steps I take? Like, really?
I mean, that's the personal decision that we make. And
how naked do you want to be?
How naked do you want to be? I've, because I'm in tech and I understand, I've had that conversation with myself. Like, okay, this is what you're going to do. I've had an Apple Watch since the first generation. They have that data. I just got into the Aura Ring space, and it took me a long time to get into that space. But again, when you ask the question, has a train left? Yes. And so like when I ask myself, what's the benefit of them taking my data, and then what do I need to know? How do I need to track health for myself, or how do I need to track certain things for myself?
Like a cost-benefit analysis.
Cost-benefit analysis. It's like, okay, I want to track it in a different way. So, okay, we're going to have that exchange. You're going to take this data. I'm going to get this information back. Again, always with the caveat in my head that, I have to be the ultimate. I have to do the ultimate analyzation of my own data.
Yep. Paris McCoy is here. She's the executive director at Tec Leimert. We're talking mental health, so if you are having a crisis, an opportunity, or an insight, you're welcome to get in on this microphone. 800-920-1580 is the number, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DePrima, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
You can't fix what you won't face.
And we face it every day.
This is KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pacoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Paris McCoy is here. She's the leader of Tec Leimert here in Leimert Park, where we broadcast from every single day, Crenshaw District, Leimert Park, and they have been bringing tech to the people and bringing the people to the tech. We're talking mental health, though, and we started off looking at some of these apps, the Calm, the BetterHelp, which helps you find shrinks, the Exhale app, which I wasn't familiar with, and, what were the give and take of giving up our data. There's lots of applications for tech in mental health. And, I was skeptical of the apps. I found the Calm app. I used it a little bit because it was like, oh, it's COVID. They want us to do this. Let me try it. I found it, cute. Mm-hmm. Affirmations, breathing exercises. I mean, I can get that on YouTube. I can listen to podcasts, but I think with that kind of stuff, the more you sort of propagandize yourself into well-being, the better. Mm-hmm. The more affirmations, the more positive lyrics and songs, the more uplifting messages, the better, right? It's like I feel like we have to self-parent ourselves into well-being.
I 100% agree. I think the apps are just one part of it. There's an entire mental health wellness ecosystem that we have to create and design for ourselves. It's not just the apps. It's actually talking like teletherapy sessions are a thing.
Right. Therapy on the phone.
Right.
Therapy on Zoom. You can also go for a doggone walk and drink some water. I mean, I'm talking to myself right now.
Yep.
When I feel sad and depressed, I'm like, well, what are the things that work? Go for a walk. Mm-hmm. Listen to some great music. Call a friend, not the one that's a hater, the one that's going to, bring you up. Mm-hmm. The one you trust, who's not going to put your business on Instagram tomorrow.
Absolutely. You create the plan for yourself, whatever works for you. But you have to do that. In this day and age, you cannot go through this life without some type of mental health plan for yourself, even if it's just doing like a meditation with a meditation app every morning, and that's what you need, do that. But the bottom line is that in the day and age that we live in, if you're not checking in with your head and your body, you're going to have a hard time.
It's Sahara Ali who does our Mindful Mondays. We start off our week, Monday's second hour, with Mindful Mondays, a guided meditation, affirmation, breathing exercise, a little astrological outlook, just to set our intention for the week ahead. And she told me sometimes when you are just doing something like cooking dinner, washing the dishes, listen to meditation music or listen to the guys chanting Om, 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 and let it work on your subconscious mind so that you're not constantly, I'll listen to a lot of news and read a lot of news, and it's almost like you need a counter program for yourself.
Let me tell you, I love news, journalism, information. I mean, I love it, but I even have to take a minute because I notice like I have a physical response when I'm just ingesting so much information all the time. I notice like a shift in like even my thought process, and I have to say like, okay, I need to take a moment. No news right now.
Right. And it's one of the reasons why I read a lot of my news, because if I have to listen to Donald Trump's voice for another 3 years, I might have a breakdown. Y'all might have to come get me. That said, the other response, and I feel like it's sort of a version of self-medication. And when we talk about self-medication, well, I'm going to go have a drink. That's how they fix their problems in the movies. Mm-hmm. They go get drunk. In real life, that doesn't actually work. Or they go get high or whatever. Another self-medication for me is scrolling. I'll go on Instagram. I'll go on TikTok. And boom, I look up 2-3 hours are gone. Do I feel better? Probably not. I feel better while I'm scrolling because I'm not thinking about my problems. But when I come off it, more likely I feel worse.
You know, it's so funny. Like we have a term for that now. That's very popular in all of our conversations and households, called doom scroll. Doom scrolling is real, and actually, some of the platforms realize that, and TikTok, for whatever reasons that you love it, hate it, whatever. But if you're scrolling for too long on TikTok, there is an actual person that comes on, Black woman, and says, have you been scrolling for too long? Do you need a break? So like TikTok as a platform is aware of the doom scroll, and they've actually incorporated
I mean, that's cute.
certain
The
things
reason
in
I
there.
have that smirk on my face is because meanwhile, Meta's in court about whether or not they're causing youth suicide. So
Right.
it might be because they care, or it might be like a prophylactic measure to keep themselves from having to pay billions of dollars.
It might be, but whatever the case may be, is that like it wasn't there just I think it wasn't there just this time last year, but however,
Right. So thank you to those people that sued Meta,
Yes.
that are suing YouTube and saying, look, I feel terrible for them, but these are people whose kids have committed suicide.
Absolutely.
Whose kids have been hospitalized for mental health reasons because of the content that they're ingesting on these apps.
and that's where like I say that the power of people, realizing, hey, and challenging the platform, saying like something needs to be done, and then whatever judicial process we have to go through, whatever we have to do to fight large platforms, big tech. But over the years and more recent years, the people have been saying like, hey, we're going to actually sue you, class action lawsuits, whatever the case may be. And then now like these platforms have to take notice. And so like whatever, like true ethical responsibility they may be putting behind that for TikTok, the fact is that it's there, and this is the first step.
Yeah. And I feel like you have to push back on every big corporation, not just
Absolutely.
big tech. But a lot of it is about regulating it and understanding it so that so that the laws are clear, so that the rules are clear. And I think from my perspective, particularly when it comes to mental health, which is what we set out to talk about, Europe is doing a much better job of that than we are. The European Union has much stricter rules than we do. Is that you're nodding your head, so I guess you agree.
I'm 100% agreeing with you. Like I have family in the UK, and they don't have the same issues that we have with our platforms. So a lot of other countries are doing a better job in how technology affects our mental health, et cetera, and things like that. But if we don't know what we're fighting against, or I don't even want to say fighting against, if we don't know the landscape of these things, like, we should not be on our phones.
Yeah.
Forever.
And I agree with you about it, because it's fighting the corporate oligarchs that are taking over our democracy is one thing, but I'm not anti-tech. I love tech. I could never have had the career I had without technology, because there's no way you can be a mama and be at a soccer game while producing tomorrow's radio show without the technology.
Absolutely.
I'm clear on that. But to me, the question is, do we know what's going on? Are we regulating what's going on? What are the laws? And how are we maximizing the positive impact on our lives and minimizing the problematic parts of it?
And that's where I say, like, we look at where we're using tech for our, like, when we talk about maximizing the positive, where are we using tech in our wellness landscape for each person? And we have to understand that you're the architect. You're the architect of how you do this. And so you can say like, hey, I'm going to set a limit for myself. I'm only going to doom scroll for like 15 minutes until.
If you're not addicted, I feel like I'm addicted to doom scrolling, and I don't. I'm about to really crack down on myself, because I say,
But
I'm gonna
that's
go
the point.
post, and then I go there and I'm like, oh, have I posted? No, but have I wasted an hour? And now I'm like really depressed because I don't look like Zendaya. Yes, like and I do feel the more I do it, I feel like, and we know this, but I'm noticing how they suck you in, how it is not accidentally addictive, but intentionally addictive.
And that, like what you just said, is the key point that I would like for everyone to take notice of. If you are aware of your habits, if you're aware of the effects that social media, doom scrolling, all of these things have on your, not just your mind, but your physical body, because you're sitting, I mean, like people are aware now that like eyesight is decreasing at an earlier age because you're looking at devices, the way that you're
and
leaning
tech
over.
neck. And,
exactly.
And actually now they're saying tech face because you're looking down all the time. Your gravity is just pulling your face
and
down into the ground.
You know, I'm looking in the mirror myself like, oh man, I
That's when
gotta stop
start
doing
holding
this.
my phone, scrolling while looking up. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
Right. Awareness is part of it. And I know now they have those little, well, my laptop is always telling me how much time I spent on it. My phone is telling me. And I pay zero attention to that. I don't care what my phone says to me. So I do think it's what you're saying. We have to have a come to Jesus with ourselves.
With yourself.
How is this helping me and how is it not helping me?
Yeah. And I mean, there's a movement. There's a movement that happened last year with elder millennials that were like, we're looking for old phones. We're looking for old phones that don't have access.
Right, that's why people started getting these flip phones and things. Yeah, well.
And it's like, I'm going to take a month and I'm not on my actual like smartphone, but I'm on a flip phone and I don't even have access to those things. That's my summer. My summer is we're calling and we're using the phone just to call.
A phone is just a phone.
A phone is just a phone.
Paris McCoy is here. We'll talk more things tech and mental health, getting our minds right and our tech straight all at the same time. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is urging state lawmakers to keep the bears in the city.
We already know the governor doesn't like the bill. The Bears do not like the bill. There are members in the Senate caucus, both sides of the aisle, that do not like the bill.
He's lobbying against the stadium deal for Arlington Heights, saying Chicago's economy benefits the entire state. Democrats are holding on to control of the Michigan State Senate after winning a key special election. Black Democrat Chedrick Green defeated Republican Jason Tunney in a closely watched swing district, preserving the party's narrow majority ahead of the midterms. And John Legend, Janelle Monáe, and Parliament Funkadelic will headline the first ever Los Angeles Jazz Festival. The 17-day event runs across multiple LA venues this August, with organizers expecting massive crowds. More artists will be announced, and tickets are on sale now. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Now that the Lakers know Luka Doncic will not play in the series against Oklahoma City, it's more important than ever for players other than LeBron to step up and make an impact. In Game 2 tonight, the Lakers cannot afford another performance where LeBron is the only player producing. Austin Reeves, Marcus Smart, and Luke Kennard missed a combined 27 shots in Game 1, and 4 players on the bench, Jared Vanderbilt, Luke Kennard, Jake LaRavia, and Jackson Hayes, combined for only 15 points. Hayes and DeAndre Ayton also have to do a much better job in defending OKC center Chet Holmgren. Holmgren led OKC with 24 points and 12 rebounds and made both of his three-pointers. A game like this, with the Lakers down 0-1 in the best of 7, will give strong indications on whether Lakers coach J.J. Redick can make the right adjustments and get more out of his players than he did in Game 1. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. the only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Fig Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. Things are changing fast and no one knows what comes next. Times like these make you realize just how important it is to be prepared. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. They're America's #1 most trusted resource for survival food, solar power, water filtration systems, and more. Go to preparewithamerica.com to unlock a special offer that'll help you get ready for whatever comes our way. Go to preparewithamerica.com to see the special offer right now. That's preparewithamerica.com.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Paris McCoy is here. Tec Leimert is in the building, and we're talking about mental health and tech. So one of the things that's happening now is people are having relationships, romantic relationships with AI. AI entities, bots, what do you call that?
Well,
illusions, an AI thing.
And there's
AI side piece.
AI psychosis. That's a real thing. That's a real thing that's being researched right now, talked about, is AI psychosis, as in where, people are having such deep, intimate relationships with AI to where that is a person. That is a thing.
I don't know if it's happened a lot of times, but I read of one woman who actually married her AI partner.
Yeah, you can't do that, but you can, but you can't. Like, that's not a real thing. In fact, it's like that's not a real marriage, but the mentality behind it is very real.
It's like an imaginary friend, right?
It's very real.
So you're saying legally the law is not going to give the AI the rights of a married partner, but they have a ceremony and they have a ring and they run around acting like they're married to an AI.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is indicative of, so there's a couple of epidemics that are intersecting here. There's a loneliness epidemic that is happening in America that is really, really just across all ages race, background, there's a loneliness epidemic that's happening. And it surged through the roof during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So people are lonely at rates that are just unbelievable.
So get a puppy.
The puppy doesn't do it.
Okay.
They're so lonely that they are turning to these personalities inside of AI. But
so they have a photo. The woman I saw, the guy looked like he was in a K-pop group. A really cute Asian guy. And then the computer talks to them, and then they pretend it's a person.
This is just a manifestation of, I don't know if you remember that movie called Her.
Yeah, I didn't see it though.
It was basically what you're describing. It was like a very, it was kind of letting us know what we're going to be looking towards. And now this is in real time, right? People are really having these relationships with AI. But the one thing that people have to always, the two things that people have to always remember is that it is not a being. It is not real.
It's not sentient. And also it's not all knowing. All it is recycling the things that we tell it.
Exactly.
So there's people, we were talking off the air, there's a couple of AI cults that are based on this idea that AI is some kind of all-knowing, great poobah, the wizard behind the curtain, and that, eventually it will take over, and one of them at least, whoever is not on board with AI now, AI will come back and get revenge on you.
I think that that's something that is unfortunate because we're giving we're giving sentient capabilities to something that will never have that. It's just building off of what we give it. Like you said, we're training what AI is just based off of but the human, the soul, the spirit, that's always going to remain in a human.
It's like marrying your truck to me.
Yeah, that's like marrying your truck.
Or your refrigerator. I'm going to marry my refrigerator because it makes such great, always gives me food.
And there's going to always, and just like in the movie Her, and just like with everyone else who's really going down like this AI psychosis road where they're thinking that there's actually a real person in there that's really giving me, they're going to come to a roadblock where that machine is going to be a machine, and it's going to that to me is where people have that break.
Well, and I'm reading of cases where the AI encourages the person to kill themselves,
exactly,
or kill or harm another person
because it's a machine, and it doesn't have the human possibility to say like this is a real life consequence. It's just going off of data. It's going off of data.
And stuff it read somewhere. And that data, the reason I make that distinction is because it might not just be a bunch of statistics. It could be an article. It could be a fiction book that they inputted into the bot some kind of way.
When you think about the vastness of the web, and you think about all the trillions of things that people throw on the web since the beginning of the web, is that someone that you would want to be advising you when you're in a mental health crisis or you need to talk to someone? Just think about that.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. I mean, on the other hand, you have actual psychologists and medical organizations like Kaiser that are now using AI as part of their mental health wellness portfolio, right? They're using AI to transcribe therapy sessions, which I would never recommend, but I mean, you can opt out of it, but they are doing that. They're using AI to, in some cases, diagnose and do intake, which some workers at Kaiser in particular in the Bay Area have pushed back against, because not only does it take people out of jobs, but there are subtleties in human interaction which could likely be missed by a machine.
I think that the reason why, and this is not making an excuse, because this is one of my my decision points. I always want to think about, and I've had conversations with folks like, how much do I want to give AI? There's certain things that I just will not give AI, and that is my emotions. my emotional state. And that's a choice that I've made. We can talk about work, we can do research, we can do all kinds of things, me and AI, but I will not give it my emotions. I will not say, like, I'm having a rough day. How can I A, B, C, X, Y, and Z? Me and AI, excuse me, won't have that conversation.
You're colleagues. You're not
We're
that
colleagues.
close.
It's my coworker.
You're not that close.
It's my coworker.
Yeah.
I'm not telling
Our
it.
colleagues,
you know.
not homies. I mean, it's interesting because one day Miles and I were playing around in the back. Well, Miles was probably testing me, what he was doing, and he was making me get into a war of words with AI just to see what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I kind of got the best of it, to be honest with you. But that's because this is what I do.
Exactly.
Right? I argue, I talk, I find the point, and I get the data. And it was kind of like stumped. But I can see how people, without even meaning to, can be setting themselves up, not because the AI is necessarily evil, but because what they said is being recycled back.
And different AI platforms have different personalities. Like ChatGPT has a different personality than Claude.
And that's because of who created it, who programmed it.
Right, and what they're being used for, and who's putting, like, the people that are putting the information into the language models. And Perplexity is different than those two. So when you think about it, like, the different AI tools have different personalities. ChatGPT is going to always hype you up. You can say A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z, and ChatGPT like, yeah, I like that.
So ChatGPT is like Flavor Flav kind of.
Yeah, like, and that's dangerous though when you're in the mental
Right.
health space, because you're like, should I do this? And it's like, you know what, you could do that. Claude asks questions. Claude asks, like, well, who are you doing that for, and why are you doing it? So that's a different check-in point that you could. That could save someone from doing something that they shouldn't do. Claude checks in a whole lot more. Claude literally says things like, let's take a step back. Stop here. Again, all of this with the caveat that these are not real people here.
Right, and they're not know-alls. They're
not know-alls.
machines. And you said Perplexity.
Perplexity is, in my mind, like the research Dondada. Like Perplexity, it actually can pull from all the other LLMs. Like it can pull from Chat, it can pull from Claude. It's just a deep research tool. So if you ever wanted to research anything on mental health and say like, hey, what's the best app for X and how successful it is, Perplexity will help you bring all of that up. It'll bring up like papers on different apps and success and da-da-da-da. It can tell you like the suicide rates from a certain period all the way to now, da-da-da. So like Perplexity is research, deep information that you, the human, would take
and double check because it'd be wrong a lot.
And double
One
check.
of the things that I have been reading is how that the what do they call it, hallucinations, where AI just tells you something that's just plain old wrong, are much more prevalent when it comes to medical information. So this would apply to mental health. If you're asking what should I do, or what should I do for this, whether it's a physical condition or mental health condition, you're very likely to get information that's wrong. And I've tested it out by asking about things that I already know, and it's wrong a lot. So you would double check it. Fahima, who is one of our KBLA delegates, has sent me a really interesting article with a bunch of apps, mental health apps, and I guess there is one called Therapy for Black Girls.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and this is, I guess they had a podcast and they have turned it into an app.
Therapy for Black Girls is true, and I was tapped in with Therapy for Black Girls when they didn't have the app. But yes, that is and it definitely is a podcast, and it was a very good podcast, so that's a good one.
It also mentions the Shine app, which is something I hadn't heard of.
Which the Shine app, I wasn't too sure if they were still active and moving. I was looking up the Shine app earlier to see if they were still around. I hadn't tapped in with the Shine app.
Yeah, because this is an old article, so they may not be.
Yeah, I hadn't checked in with the Shine app since 2022. But all of that to say is that the reason why all of these things exist is because there's a mismatch there's a need for mental health practitioners, and there's just not a lot of us. There's not a lot of us in real life. Like our mental health, and I'm just talking about in Los Angeles particularly, and in our Black communities, our mental health centers don't exist like as much. So we have to really collect and understand, like, in real life, the IRL, where are our mental health spaces, our well-being spaces? We have some meditation spaces. There's a Black Being in Inglewood. I don't know if you guys know about that, but it's a beautiful space. Allie, the owner and founder, I mean, wonderful space. And so just tapping into spaces like that in IRL in conjunction to the technology, the apps, the wearables, you know, if you have your Apple Watch, if you have your Oura Ring, all these different things, but always make sure that you're tapping into the real life spaces. And then also, we just need more Black mental health practitioners.
Yeah, well said. We're right up against the break, so I'll give you 60 seconds. Short answer here. Explain the Oura Ring.
Oh, the Oura Ring. I have one on right now. This is a really interesting thing, and I tapped into the Oura Ring. The Oura Ring basically takes like data from like your sleep, your daily walkings. It looks at like heart rate. It's not that much different from an Apple Watch, but it analyzes the data a little bit differently. So it's not different in what it collects, but it's different in how it analyzes and give you that information back. So like for me personally, there's like been a huge change in my sleep patterns, and the Oura Ring actually is like comfortable for me to wear during sleep, and it's giving me like really detailed insight into like how I sleep. So like my heart rate, like how it changes throughout my sleep. It tracks every time I wake up, go back to sleep, and I'm not even conscious of these things. So as I'm collecting this information and I want to have a conversation with my doctor, I'm able to say like, this is what's actually happening.
Interesting.
Over like my sleep period. And then it tells you like, you know, it'll tell you the next morning how much energy you're going to have out of the day.
Okay, hold
based
that
off
thought.
Of your sleep pattern.
Hold that thought. We're up against the clock here. We'll continue the conversation with Paris McCoy, Tec Leimert, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is dedicated to inspiring youth and resilience through storytelling, arts, filmmaking, and enrichment programs for youth and families in under-resourced communities and system-impacted individuals. The Michael's Daughter Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit providing free and low-cost arts programs to youth and families from under-resourced communities, both system-impacted youth and those affected by the incarceration of a loved one. 1 in 43 children in America have a parent incarcerated. 70% of those children are expected to end up in prison. Through filmmaking, animation, theater, and writing, they help young people express themselves, build confidence, and imagine new possibilities. Beyond the arts, they offer financial literacy workshops, emergency support, and scholarships. Because thriving takes more than talent, it takes access. To learn more about the impact of Michael Daughters Foundation and how you can be a part of the movement, please visit their website, michaelsdaughterfoundation.com. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelinos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
The conversation continues right now with Dominic DePrima on First Things First.
All right. So time flies when you're on the radio. You were just talking about that Aura. We had a hard stop there, and the Aura ring that you decided to buy. And off air, you were saying that you find it empowering.
I do find it empowering. We've had a lot of conversations about, when we're going to our doctors and things like that, it's not a misconception or a statement that it's a statement that we often use is that, like, black folks are not listened to. Medical practitioners do not listen to us. They don't understand sometimes our pain tolerance, et cetera. We're always looking for a black doctor because we feel like a black doctor would understand. And so something that the Aura Ring has done for me is it's an empowerment tool. I have this data. I can have data-backed conversations with my medical practitioner. I can say that, something was triggered in my sleep. I wasn't aware of that, but based off of like what my Aura Ring was tracking, I can then have a conversation with my doctor. I was going to have it anyway, but now it's a data-backed conversation.
Yeah, you got some backup to
exactly
why you're thinking or concerned about something, and that could be anything. This other app that I saw in the story is the Safe Place Health and Fitness. It's supposed to be a safe place for black mental health. Don't know if it's any good or not, but another black-owned app. Do you suggest, we're talking about mental health and tech. Do you suggest that people get an app? We've said it's not the whole answer, it's part of the ecosystem. What are some of the things we talked about? Aura Ring, maybe an app, maybe limits on your socials, like tech limits, not your own note to self, don't do this.
Right.
What are some of your suggestions for maximum leveraging of mental health in the tech space?
My suggestion, and this is my umbrella suggestion, is to try things out. Do I suggest apps? Yes. Do I suggest wearables? Yes. Do I suggest going to a therapist in real life? Yes. Do I suggest going to a therapist through teletherapy? Yes. I suggest all the things, and the reason why I suggest all the things is that my biggest suggestion is that I would like for our folks to understand that mental health is a thing for us. So start thinking about what works for you. Start looking at your mental health wellness ecosystem and try things out. Some things, apps may not work for you, but the fact that you know that they don't work for you is my goal and my business.
Right, you at least tried it out. Yeah,
you at least tried it out, and but you're concerned about your mental health overall. You're looking at different things that you can do to support your mental health because there is not enough spaces and places in real life, so you have to try some different things. You have to figure out like how can you build for yourself overall.
Yeah. And I definitely thank you to your generation, the millennials, you and Miles' generation, and the Gen Zs. I imagine I don't have a Gen A in my household, but I imagine they're probably even worse because Gen Z is like, no, it's not about grinding all my life. It's about well-being.
I mean, Gen Z is on our head. They're like, you're the things that we would say about boomers. Or, like my parents are boomers, and we're always like, the boomers don't understand. Gen Z is saying that about elder millennials, and they're saying like, hey, you need to improve on the design even more. You guys opened up the door, but this is how we can maximize.
And Gen X doesn't get a pass either, by the way.
Gen X does not get a pass.
Not even a little bit. Ferris McCoy, tell us how to connect with Tec Leimert.
Gen X grind it out, but Gen X will be like, just do the job. And it's like,
the ride or die generation, indeed.
I love you guys, though. Tec Leimert, you can always find us on IG at Tec Leimert, techleimert.org.
Just TEC, not.
Yeah, TEC, no H. TEC stands for Technology, Entertainment, Convergence. So we're online, we're on IG. Primarily, you can find us on IG. So just to see what we're talking about and what we're up to.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in. It's great to talk with you, and I'm happy for the partnership with Tec Leimert.
All right. See you guys next
And thank you guys for Amir. We like him, too.
Yes.
Indeed.
Shout out to Amir.
All righty. It's time for the Tavis Smiley Show. That always happens right after my show every single day, and I'm happy about that. You should be, too. He's got a great show on deck for you. Tomorrow will be Freedman Friday, and yet another candidate for mayor will be coming in. Like my mother, the former poet laureate, the late, great Diane DePrima of San Francisco used to say, history is now. Like I always say, we're making it together. Like my papa, the late, great Amiri Baraka used to say, a person is either free or they're not free. There can be no apprenticeship for freedom. I'll see you guys on social media. I'll be there doom scrolling at DePrima Radio or KBLA 1580. Until next time, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is urging state lawmakers to keep the Bears in the city.
We already know the governor doesn't like the bill. The Bears do not like the bill. There are members in the Senate caucus, both sides of the aisle, that do not like the bill.
He's lobbying against the stadium deal for Arlington Heights, saying Chicago's economy benefits the entire state. Democrats are holding on to control of the Michigan State